Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of You've Got Something to Say. Have you ever looked back over your life and realized that the thing you thought kept changing really hadn't changed at all? I spent 8 hours this week, no kidding, 8 hours scrolling through 15 years of folders on my computer, books and courses and podcast ideas, challenges, businesses, old brands, products I'd completely forgotten I'd created. And at first, I thought I was looking at 15 years of reinvention, but instead, I discovered something completely different. I kept opening folder after folder and remembering where I was in life when I created each one. Some of them were successful and some really, really flopped. Okay. Some never even made it out into the world. Some I absolutely loved, and some of them I'd completely outgrown. And then it kind of hit me. None of those products were actually the point. This wasn't a browse through old products. It wasn't about the products. It was all about the purpose. Every one of those things was simply my attempt to answer one question. How do we help women stop doubting themselves long enough to create a life they truly want? The workbook wasn't the mission. The podcast was never the point. The books were never the point. They were simply different expressions of the same mission, the same purpose. And then I had to wonder how many of us spend our lives believing that we're constantly starting over. Because when I first started looking at all of these, that's what I thought. It was like, wow, how many times have I scrapped what I was doing and started all over? How many of us do that over and over again, think we're constantly starting over? We leave a job, we start a business, we change careers, we launch something new, and we think we've become a completely different person. But what if we've been carrying the same purpose all along? Maybe the titles changed, maybe the paychecks changed, maybe the audience changed, but the thread never did. That thing that's always tied everything you did together, that mission, that purpose, it never changed. So I want you to do something this week. I want you to do what I did. Now, that doesn't mean you just sit down and scroll through every old folder on your computer, but I do want you to look backward. Not because I want you to go live in the past, but I want you to look for the thread. I want you to ask yourself, what problem have I always wanted to solve? Who have I always wanted to help? What values have stayed the same no matter what season I was in? Because if you're like me and you discover what I did this week, then I have a feeling that your purpose has been whispering to you for a very long time. So maybe you're not starting over. Maybe you're just finally seeing the pattern. Maybe you're finally recognizing the work that you've been called to do all along. And once you see that thread, it changes everything.